Hi there, my name is Katherine from Katherine's Book Reviews at kwbookreviews.com. And today I wanted to start off my YouTube channel by looking at my favorite book, which is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. And I wanted to start off by talking about Lolita because I believe it's a book that deserves more recognition. And I know it's like a literary classic and people will usually read it in school and stuff, so people do know about it, but I don't think people give it enough of a chance given the plot, and it is hard to handle. It's tough. And but I do think it's a book that people should definitely try to get into because it offers so much. It is such a good example of what it means to have writing overtake you. And when I first read Lolita, I was around 15, I think. I was a freshman in high school, and I don't remember how I got my hands on Lolita. I think I bought it at a bookstore. But it took me a long time to read because I didn't like to read when I was a freshman in high school. But I started it again freshman year, and I think I ended it at the end of sophomore year. So probably around a year it took me to read, maybe a little bit more, but it did take me a while to get into it, but once I got into it, it changed me, and it's one of the books that really got me into reading in the first place. So I'm going to start off with the plot, and you probably already know the plot, but I'm going to tell you it anyway. So it stars a man named Humbert Humbert. He's a literary scholar, and he is traveling to America, I think, in order to teach and do more research. And he comes to see a room available from Charlotte Hayes, and he goes to meet her, and he hates her. He knows already he doesn't want to buy a room from her in her house, and he thinks he's just going to tell her no. But then he meets her 12-year-old daughter named Dolores, and then he decides, okay, I'm going to stay. And he has a sexual attraction to Dolores and young girls in general. And he explains that his attraction to young girls started after his first love with a girl named Annabelle Lee, which is a nod to Poe. And they loved each other, but she died because she was sick and he was really young. And ever since then, he's had an attraction to very young girls. And not really just any young girls. He calls them nymphets. They range from the age from 9 to 14, I believe. And they have to be sexually deviant, all this stuff. He has this list of requirements. It's really creepy. But that's pretty much it. And it describes their whole relationship because they end up becoming so close, and in the end, everything goes wrong for him. And I love this book mostly because of the language. It's so powerful. When Nabokov first wrote this book, it was all in English, and English is not his first language. I believe his first language is Russian, and I cannot believe he had the power to produce this much sensation in one book. The language is so flowery and poetic, and it's so hard to read because you're reading about basically a psychopath and a pedophile, and you feel sorry for Humbert. This is all his journal entries, and you side with him because of the way he speaks and the way he feels, and it's so much, and you resonate with it, and it overtakes you, and you forget. When I read this, it took me a long time to figure out what it was truly about. I mean, I read it when I was in high school, so I wasn't really thinking. I thought, oh, Humbert, he's so dreamy. But, that's not what this is about. It took me a long time. After I read this the first time, I read it again and again, and I watched the 2 film versions that are out. And I think it took me about 2 years to really think about that. And it was tough to realize. I knew he was raping her and stuff. That's very obvious, but I didn't think he was the bad guy in the story. I really didn't. I thought he was just this great human being, and Lolita was a big brat. But it's terrible because he does horrible, horrible things. He's a terrible person, but you want to love him so badly. You want to love him because he writes so beautifully. And this book just teaches you that words can really influence you. It's crazy. I can't believe it. And people like to bash this book, I think, because of the whole thing. It's about a pedophile, and I understand that. It's hard to handle. And certainly I don't agree with everything Humbert does, because he does such horrible things without any sort of regret. He's so passionate, which is a good quality, but he's also reckless, which is a terrible quality. He doesn't think things through, ever. He just does what he wants. And when you read what he writes about his life, he's funny and he's charming, and you can see, like, poor Charlotte, she, like, loves him and he doesn't love her back. It's a tough thing to stomach, but I think once you really get the full message of it, it changes you. It changed me, I think, for the better. It made me a more conscious reader when I wasn't a conscious reader. It's crazy. It really is. I mean, I don't know. My favorite part of this book, I think I have it marked, is when in the beginning, when Lolita and Humbert first meet, and Charlotte is, like, showing him around the house, and she's like, "Oh, here's my low, and here are my lilies," and he goes, "Oh, beautiful, beautiful." That was when I really first started to like him, and I thought, oh, this guy, he's so observant, he's so great. And it's like, no, he's terrible, he's awful. But, like, it's so good. And the way it's written, too, I know I've said this already, but it's so good. It's just, there's so much intricacy in the words, and they all flow so well. And this is the best novel I think I will ever read in my life. And I'm so thankful that I did pick it up and have the chance to read it. And I think reading it when I was young probably wasn't the best idea. I mean, I didn't know what it was about. I just saw the cover. But I'm glad I did, because it taught me how to analyze books and how to decide what is good and what is wrong. I mean, of course I already have, like, morals and stuff, but when it comes to, like, language like that and the way it tricks you, it taught me how to recognize unreliable narrators, and they're everywhere. And Humbert is the most deceiving narrator I think you will ever meet in literature, and he's just great. And Nabokov is a genius for making this happen. I can't believe how much this book tricked me for years, and I didn't even realize it. But one day I was just reading it, and it just sort of hit me. I was reading the part right after when Charlotte, spoiler alert, gets hit by the car, and I was just reading it over and over again, because that's what I tend to do when I really like books. But she got hit by the car, and I realized, holy crap, this is so messed up. It's so messed up. But Humbert was, like, one of my huge literary crushes, and I couldn't see past his faults because I thought I loved him so much. But I don't. He's awful. He's terrible. He's a terrible person. But, like, there's still this little part of me, inside of me, that's like, Humbert's, like, the most beautiful man I've ever met in my life, and I haven't even met him. But he's terrible. I don't approve of their relationship. And it's hard because there are people, I think young people mostly, I see this on Tumblr, who idolize the Humbert and Lolita relationship. And I've tried to, like, write about this before, but, like, you shouldn't. Their relationship wasn't a relationship. He raped her. That was pretty much it. And I get why this relationship is idolized. I can understand from the language of this book why people can be confused, because when I read it, when I was young, I was confused too. But you need to read. You need to read, and you need to read close, because it is so much more than that. It's about evilness and deception, and it's so much. And I want to recommend Lolita to basically anyone. I mean, not young kids, because it's hard to handle, of course, and it's a hard read. It's definitely not easy. You have to pay attention. You have to pay attention closely. And this edition I really liked. It's the annotated Lolita. I bought it freshman year of college, just for funsies. And I really like this edition because it has annotations in it, and it refers you to, it translates the French parts in it, which was good because I don't read French. And it just has little annotations of like sort of analysis, and I really liked the intro. The intro was great. It's all about Nabokov and his works, basically all of his books he's ever written, and it ties them all together with Lolita and all like the themes and the big elements, which I thought was so interesting. I don't think I've ever read another thing from Nabokov, which I probably should. But no, I've only read Lolita from him, and again, I think Lolita is such a great read, and that every person should try to read it if they could, because it changes you. It's a terrible plot with terrible characters, but it changes you, and it makes you think, and that's what all books should do. Okay, so I'm gonna end here. Thanks for hanging out with me. Make sure to check out my website, kwbookreviews.com, where I write book reviews. And I plan to maybe videotape myself maybe talking about reviews a little bit more. I'm not sure if that's really going to happen. I just kind of wanted to try this out. And if I like it, I'll do more reviews on YouTube, but I'll also be writing more as well. And also make sure to follow me on Twitter, which is at KW Book Reviews. And thanks for checking this out. See you later.